when my psychologist attacked me, I could see that he had assassin child programming in him, and I dare say too, because it was him adult and him the child, and then the child assassin came out and wanted to kill everyone very cruelly, and they were attacking the womb, and so I didn't understand why, but this is a part of what you see going on in the world, and a person that was at hospital and was tortured by a doctor when was a child. He told me that they are going to try to basically create reduce the sexual polarity and so on, so to create androgynous people. And I didn't think anything bad of androgynous people because I'm pro LGBTQ. Yet the differences between accepting us and who we are and our right to be ourselves, and controlling for identities of people, and so this is to reduce, to not have birthing so that they can control birth rate. And yes, if we are to get to Mars, then people think that we need to get rid of women, which is not true, because actually if we are on strong Mars, we will need very, very strong Venus to create life on Earth. So even if you do create like hermaphrodites or androgynous, they would need to have very strong and accepted what we call woman-like or female-like quality, Venus-like, I think, Venus-like, moon-like qualities to add to this Mars so that there is life on Earth. Okay, this is okay that we want to get and live on other planets and be intergalactic. But the thing is that I remember that when I heard in Imagination podcast about the Black Alice, I was like, oh, it's not just me. Also, my psychologist had like the child, and because he was very likely tortured severely, then this alter child killer came out at me because I began to expose the cult, and that created, I think, in him memories of his programming, and this is why he didn't have now a part of the fact that we were having astral sex together in the beginning, and so he came to my energy, and in the beginning, okay, but I was later looking to see other parts of me, and he got addicted, and because it didn't work like the program, I think he thought he would program me, but no, I said no, I want my life, okay, and because this didn't work, then it, I think, triggered in him his own memories of the cold programming that he has as psychologist, who is to tell which children to kidnap and how to treat the children, so to program children in risk, and if somebody adult was hurt in childhood, so to program them back so they would not run away from the cult. I remember particularly I had American energy, and I told him, are you American? Because you look Israeli. And he said, no, I'm not American. But I saw things, MK Ultra, MK this, and I didn't tell him because I said, oh, he wouldn't believe me. And indeed, he would very likely be programmed to punish me if I mentioned that. But because the child, and he worked so hard to bring me the child, and also me, the child, was able to look in his eyes, because there was something with the sight as well. And but me, the child, and he suddenly, I think there was a breakage in his soul system. And he began, I think, to remember things, or his handlers began to work on him in certain way, and the cult, and then when with the attack, there was the black, kind of like the black Alice. So because there was the child that was coming to treat very cruelly me, and I was like, but he's attacking me, the child, to which I had to really work hard to get out, because me, the child, her tendency was to attack him, you understand? And so, yes, this is important, because she wanted to protect herself, and not in the sense of to torture or anything like that, just to end the suffering, okay? But it's also, he programmed in me suffering as child so that I will have child assassin personality. And then he took, when I wanted out, and I wanted, when I said, okay, well, he's having cruel parts, when he tells me I'm becoming cruel when you are vulnerable, where earlier in the therapy he would say, oh, but that you are vulnerable with me is given, and then I said, no, I'm not vulnerable with you, I just try to show sides and see how you react. And so, because I was honest to him at the level of trust that I have, because I'm not going to fool him, that I trust. I genuinely wanted to heal, okay, from, I had no idea of who he was, and so it's just like I didn't know if he will believe me and so on, and not hurt me for his lack of professionality, not for anything else necessarily. And so, but because mostly people did not understand what I'm dealing with, that's it. And the only people that did were these MK Ultra people themselves. Okay, it's the only person who knew what is energy, what it thinks I'm experiencing, and so on, and not looked at me as ghost. And that's why I went to him. So I blamed the first society, because I never got help, and the only person who understood me was a person that was basically supposed to keep me in situation where I don't escape for the control of the cult. And then when that didn't work, then the child assassin in him came, and you understand what the experience of his soul, because I understand why we still took him so much, because to try these things is not just because it's threatened, because basically the child assassin in him came out and attacked, and then he was in the situation of helplessness because I'm still alive. And so just by being, I became the biggest trigger he ever had, because the child assassin was supposed to take revenge at his offenders that have nothing to do with me. But they triggered him to bring the child assassin so that he will kill me instead of the cult and the people who actually programmed him, although he himself is programmer, okay, you understand. So these are my thoughts after watching Yes, and to heal, everything is possible, including to heal and to get for the truth out, because that's how these child assassins are killed. That's how you think these monsters are created, because they invest so much in turning humanity both into superhuman, Übermensch. And indeed, when I was channeling, I would be able to sing like Beyonce and this and that. It is not for to prove what I can't, what I cannot. It's just experience that I had that was fascinating. I remember when Anneke Lucas talked about training her, when they took her from Expendable Children, and to train her to be singer and performer. Then she would be naked, and the vulnerability of dressed people, then it would bring out like the vocal cords, and that was the programming. It's abuse, but it's the programming of the cult. And that was done to me also after I escaped, or tried to escape, to end the therapy. While the psychologist was asking, how do you think this therapy will end? And I said, I don't know, because by then, before the bad things started, I said I was related to him, okay? Although in the beginning it was difficult to relate. I'm astrologer, and I said to you that a situation where, for example, Moon opposite Saturn, composite to synastry, is difficult to relate. This can happen to people. It doesn't mean you don't feel relation. It can mean that sometimes there can be experienced barrier to relation, and it was very difficult for him. So he had all his misconceptions psychologically about this, while he himself was programmed child. And I could see where he would switch the energies and extreme temperatures. So this is why it's so important. Why housing first, for example, helps people, because it's root chakra, element of earth and soil. Okay, when I say house, it's not building, it's house with land. So you can ground yourself and have space for yourself, for your boundaries, your safety, independent of ability to work, so that you will have a place outside the cold and a space to be that you never had as child, even, or even when your parents were pregnant, okay? This is why it is the essence, the matter here is important to ground the nervous system and to support for the nervous system. And this is why housing first, okay, for in this way, works to cure what people call psychosis. And the other element is to believe of what the person says to you, even if it sounds to you crazy. Because now we are seeing in the world the implications of, since childhood, that we did not believe, and we had the privilege to live in a world where these things don't happen, and think that people maybe, okay, that this is just bad, or conspiracy theory, or scare stories, and they had no genuine origin. Okay, we've this really privileged life in completely other worlds. And so if you think, I grew up third generation to Holocaust survivor, and you would think, oh, the Holocaust is something, or genocide or democide is something that happens only when there are world wars. Okay, there are many genocides, okay? Now what happened into neighboring region in Gaza and segments of Israel is democide as well, Congo and so on. But what is, who conducts these child assassins, you think, oh, this is like Boko Haram. But Boko Haram is not in Africa. It's basically our presenters, our leaders, our business people, our politicians, and the people you are taught to hate because of what they do, but you're not taught what's going on. And if they have programming but they forget, then we are their glitches when we begin to talk, as I was the glitch to my psychologist, okay, where tried to program me, and they said, well, father, there's only one. I said, we have two. I'm half Israeli, half Dutch, and Dutch families. Yes, in Netherlands, there's a lot of targeted by bloodline, and this causes fertility issues. Okay, it's okay to talk about. And the reason I mention this, because we understand that we go along the bloodlines, then because of the expandable children programs of what they do, then some people forget infertility, and this can pass by genetics. And this is, nobody is ashamed, okay, when this happens. It's different for when infertility is because of programming of the cult. So person believes women are like this, women are like that. No, not always. When sometimes it's because of that, and then when you deal with that, then you come back the semen, the seed, fertility. Sometimes genuinely bad things were done, okay, for the people that were including to make them intentionally infertile. If you can read Hans Medma's testimony about this, and then this can affect the sperm count. Okay, Jupiter in Capricorn for Nederland charts can show that. And I have Jupiter in Capricorn in family, some of my family too. And this is basically constriction on seed or semen because of Orthodox archaic religion, Saturn. Okay, seed, Jupiter, Saturn. And this is, yes, also, but in a way is safe to me because nature corrects for himself. Because when somebody came to program me intensely for MK Ultra and said, well, to use my child, me inner child, and to say, oh, well, I have, you are a child, the father has many children. Yes, in the fantasy, only one father. I said, no, I have two, because this is my life, and I honor my, I'm grateful for my ancestors, even though I grew up with none of them, but only the mother. But this is saved me because it was difficult to apply to programming where my parents chose to live life as they see fit and authentically. And even with all the difficulties in society, and even when marriage didn't last, then it still saved me. I was still subjected to what's going on. And when I tell you that these people are presenters, are politicians, are leader figures, are solar figures in our lives, that they go through such torture. And some of them maybe remember, maybe don't remember. And now when we begin to talk, we're triggering something. And so a lot of them are accompanying people in energy because they are programmed to get out of their bodies and be in several places. It's a part of their job, even, and a part of their relational needs, because you kept in such isolation that it happens. And when I was kept in such isolation, they began to look, what can they program me? So can they program me to be singer? Can they program me to be a spy? Can they program me to be whatever? Okay, and I saw the different programmings for some, okay, that go through, and so even for shaman, by the way, okay, and for shaman, unfortunately, that is the rape. So you understand this coming from tribal societies. The most ancient we know is Inuit. Then shamans, okay, we can't expect a person that was going through these rapes, this, that, to be your healer. And this is how I met my psychologist, okay, because he was expected to be my healer when he himself went through these horrors, and he would have no support system for healing me, but all the support systems for doing the opposite, while he himself was trapped in this just as I was. And so me, the child, triggered these things because I was a child outside the cult, albeit the attempts to program me. When he asked when I was little, and I said, well, what do you want from me? To make decisions for you, to this, to that? I said, no, to inspire me. So Father is inspiration. Support me, support my dreams. As you think about father-daughters, okay, for father-daughters relations, or the sense of missing father that could affect on my sexuality, even I would not have no access to my sexuality because the need in a missing father figure present was there, I guess. So that was what I explored with my psychologist. And you can imagine I wanted to heal myself first before I go and, do something about what happened in academia or anything like that, other than to speak up. because I genuinely wanted to change and heal and grow with love. And this is also how, when I asked my psychologist, I said, how do we grow with love? And he said, you're not safe here, you've ruined everything, you're not safe here, you're not safe anywhere, now you are not safe, and so on. And at first I thought it was him, but now I understand it was a world war. Okay? It's not just him, it's just genuinely a world war. And he had altars that tried to save, and altars that were triggered, and altars that tried to assassin, and altars that, it was like, okay, you want to be with me so much, but I cannot be with you if I'm not safe and free with you. And I need to be safe and free. I'm safe and free only where I'm safe and free. I need to be safe and free here on earth, because I'm here on earth. So I came to bring here the safe and free, okay, of world. And I guess this is why I'm so much troubles to so many people and so much trigger to so many people, because I'm a catalyzer of change in that way, but also access to something that is desired, where we can have an orgasm feeling good before, during, and after, not because of programming of dissociation, but of presence, of relaxed arousal. But this is also where I have to say that the courses that I saw for positive sexuality that have helped me a lot and are, kind of stepping stones in my path, there were missing things, both in the sense of levels of sensitivity. I talked in another video where I had a good friend that was big feminist, and so when I was sleeping with my psychologist astrally, she said, oh my God, they're trying to reach to your libido, to this, to that, and she saw that they were trying to program me, but for me it was like, well, it's the only access I have to explore what's going on with me there, so I cannot date someone because I'm healing, and I cannot and I just, like, if I'm okay with this, then I'm exploring for the condition. Anyway, the power relations between patient and healer need to change. So what would that change be? And that just happens. And so for that person also was healing. And when we talked about like sexuality and stuff, they were reaching great things, but the existing courses for assisting with sexuality and healing from sexual trauma will not suffice, because they didn't cover the grief, and they didn't cover the levels of where a person will have orgasms and then the grief comes out. And I talked today about the grief, and I have to admit, a lot of people I know, me too, even before, like not necessarily MK Ultra or something like that, but a lot of people I know, me too, were losing father before, sometimes father and brother even, before Me Too thing happened. This is why I'm so, when I see this passive undercall, I'm like, no, because I know that CPTSD and sexual trauma are built on grief and loss. Okay, and so this is very important, because they want for this Me Too is one level. And yesterday when I spoke of one thing that I forgot, with all this Mercury retrograde and the fact that you talk about this, then you'll have to make place for this, albeit those that don't want you to talk about this. And this is the fact that when we have, try to avoid this again. No, it's important to talk about this. When we talk about for the cycle of grief, I heard the testimony of people that talked about the dead people, okay, those that were murdered. I understand why, because some of the energies with me have murdered such children that they had to in order to survive. And it's torture, it's rape, it's horrid types of murders. And I guess the program to forget that they did that to live good life. And I'm kind of breaking the entire programming while making this testimony. But also important, because later they will tell, oh, so this person did that and that, this person did that. And what they won't tell you is what happened to them and what is the entire context of that. And this is why I say the Holocaust they go to every day, even in adulthood, okay? Because they are creating divisions between the children. And so I'm a bit bridging the gap when listening to these testimonials. And then for the children that survived to these murders, that did not forget and did not manage to testify and so on, for these children, they are saying that the pedophilia was the cover-up. And I was like, wait, what? What did I just... And it's very much like the Me Too, because everybody would talk about what the sexual, like, oh, did he sexually harass you? Did he see it? I was like, that was the small thing, because he could not reach a situation where he does this without all these programmings. And I noticed that this program is like he would be stressed, and there was an alter that comes out and a delayed response with it that acts in this way. And I didn't understand. I'm exposing him as intelligence when I say that. And everybody said, well, you cannot speak. I said, but I have to speak. Write to your notebook. I can't. I needed to speak. I needed to expose, because it's the tellus, because it needs to come out. So that we, it's time to go to golden ages. So we are in the 300 years of moving to golden ages. So these things come out, okay? And Sedna in Gemini, ever since 12 millennia ago, she wasn't. And she trines Pluto in Aquarius. So it's a gate to open what the cult of child sacrifice. Since the Inuit, when they were doing infanticide and they were marrying child marriages and so on. And I love it. I so love it that some of our leaders, I don't want to put anybody on the spot because of all of these things that I just said, so you can connect dots. I don't know. Okay, well, I think you know which Lisa talks about Islam, and I don't have anything against any religion. It's my disclaimer. But when it particularly talks about child marriages, and I'm like, this is so, I love it so much, because it brings into the discourse so much that's needed, and it doesn't matter what the cult wants to use as agenda. It steers up the arguments that stir up things. So basically, there is, and thanks to Mama versus Mafia, who, by the way, exposed the testimonial of Lars that was heard by this person. And she also talked about the Muslim Brotherhood of Satan. When I got that, I was like, oh, that's why the power of three worked when I sent back to sender something. And I don't want to talk about that too loud, because I see that it's working and I allow it to continue to work. And so that is, okay, how I managed it, because David Icke that presented that, he was banned from Netherlands and from entire Europe and whatnot. But I'm like, no, there's something here interesting that can point to something that can end this cycle of abuse. And that's more important than politics. Okay, it's more important than diplomacy and all of that. So be a free man who needs not to oppress another. That it's important to understand that this triggers those things that people are programmed to forget. Okay, so don't kill the messenger. Oh my God, that Lilith on somebody's Mercury is showing with the Mercury retrograde. Oh my God. Anyway, yes, this is how my story ties into that. Cause is basically, when I studied the screenwriting, we had a lawyer teacher, which was very interesting, because when I was a child, I thought to study law, and he said, all the stories that you see, the plot, classical plot, are stories of release from slavery into liberty. And all the plots are released from slavery into liberty. And I thought to myself, well, how does change happen? And I guess I'm seeing it now. For the many facets and aspects of these changes. And this is important to remember, okay, when you understand these things. Liberation. This is liberation, okay? Grapes, not rapes. Grow with love. And this is why, housing first, not Basser van der Kolk. I know I said more Herman Koch, less Basser van der Kolk. But you have to understand, Basser van der Kolk was asking for it. And yet, I'm not staying in that level of what the actual pathway is to move the energy. And think about all these people that did such great things with their own magical powers, of what they learned in the cult, and how we can do that in favor of ourselves and humanity. And you know that pattern of not sacrificing humans or raping them or child abuse and organ trade in children, kidnapping of children, that's never been tried before. You say if you want to have something or reach something you never been before, have results you never had before, you got to do something, try something you never tried before. And so if we try that, we never tried that before. That's golden ages. That's a very blue ocean. So see you in another video.